Hey, we're rocking out here today. Welcome to the TSG live call-in show. I'm John, your host, as always. And we're going to be talking to my buddy John Wiley today as our guest co-host. And I don't think I have any other sort of announcements to start things off, but I will tell you, if I can find my notes here, that this is a live call-in show, like I mentioned, and we're going to be talking about, at least to begin the show, we're going to be talking about motivation and finding your motivation, right? Because model railroading sometimes brings us projects that are kind of daunting, and it seems like sometimes it's easy to lose your motivation when you're facing a large project like that. So that's how we're going to start off. You're invited to call in and just know, well, let us know what your tricks are for getting and staying motivated. And be sure to keep it short and to the point, because we'll try to get through as many calls as possible. If you wish to participate, make sure that your webcam is on and that your microphone is working. Make sure you're calling from a quiet place. Have your browser window that this is really important, have the browser window that has YouTube playing in the background, have that muted or close it all together once you log on to the StreamYard link. And then know what you want to say before you call in. Because if you don't, we'll probably end up having to hang up on you, because sitting around not knowing what you want to talk about doesn't work for a call-in show like this. So the link to participate, I'm going to go ahead and copy this here. And I'm going to see if I can put it up in the comment section real quick. Here we go. This is our link to participate. So there we go. With that, let's bring John in. Oh my goodness. I didn't catch you doing anything bad. That's good.
No, hi there. I'm just trying to make sure my bandwidth works well. Nothing is hogging it.
Yeah. Is that what you call it? Bandwidth?
You know, the tubes, those internet tubes.
The internet. Yeah. So in case anybody doesn't know, I've known John now for, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And
it's got to be longer than that now, yeah.
I think it is longer than that, because I was at the SBHRS one time and we were trying to film for a DVD, and someone in the background kept making all this noise on the N-scale layout, and it was you. So you messed up my shoot, man.
I think I was underneath doing something. I got cranky. You asked me to be quiet.
I think you were, and I think you did. I don't know that you let us know you were cranky, but that was pretty funny. That's how I met John. I think it was probably more like 6 or 7 years ago, come to think of it.
Yeah, you and at the time Dan were there filming stuff for a video. This is before you were doing much on YouTube or anything. It was all still DVD time.
Yeah, I think we were recording for the DCC installs for the HO scale models at the time.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I remember, because our other friend Woody, who's part of the SBHRS, was the guy I was working with to get in, and he was just sitting out in the other room waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, because it took my buddy Dan forever to get stuff set up. So
yeah, well, Woody was good at keeping himself occupied out there in the museum.
Yeah. The good part about all that, though, is that the trains looked really good on the camera.
They did.
So,
they did.
Yeah, turned out to be great. And, that's kind of how we got to know each other in the first place, John, was I slowly became more, I guess, involved with the SBHRS, because everybody at the SBHRS was so nice and helpful to me when I was trying to get these videos out. I'm like, well, I want to do something for them. So then we did the HO scale layout tour, and then then we did the N scale layout tour, and it just kind of grew from there, right?
It did. So, you guys came for that first video shoot, and I think you had a couple other things you were going to do. I remember talking to you about coming down more, and eventually start talking to you about becoming a member of the club, and you did, which was great. I think you did a couple of video shoots, because you also had some N scale stuff to do. Yeah. And then we did the layout tours, and we weren't your first layout tour, I don't think, but we were pretty early on in terms of the layout tours you put up on YouTube, I remember.
Yeah, it was. It was one of the first, the HO
Mm-hmm.
scale layout tour at the SBHRS. So if anybody's wondering, SBHRS is South Bay Historical Railroad Society. This is a
Mm-hmm.
preservation society here. It's actually in Santa Clara, local to both of us. And that's one of the things that we do when we're not on YouTube, when there's no pandemic, is we could be found at the SBHRS. You more than I can be found there, but.
Well, you've definitely gotten yourself pretty busy. I mean, especially with traveling for doing layout tours when you can, and all the other work you've been doing. I mean, you get around a lot now.
Yeah, for a while we were doing a live show about once a month. That was a live stream from the depot, and I don't know what happened to that. I think people just kind of got disinterested, or I don't know what happened, or I got busy. I think it was
a combination of things. You definitely got busy, and also you started doing the roundtables from the depot, so I know that took the place of some of it. Yeah, but you also, I mean, you were traveling around the state to do, more tours, going to more people's homes, and doing more programs in general. Plus, with our other friend Kevin Hill, you guys are tramping around, catching trains all the time.
Yeah, sometimes in places we're not really supposed to be getting them, but that's a different story.
So long as only your arms lean over the fence with the camera, you're okay.
Right? As long as you're not peeing on electric fences, that's another pro tip.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, that's definitely a pro tip. If you're out rail fanning, do not pee on electric fences. John, we have Shane's Trains asking a question. Do you see it down here?
I see that. I don't really have my own channel. I mean, technically I've put up some videos, but it was years ago. Shane, thanks for the question. Really, everything I do winds up going to John and ends up on TSG or just in the circular file next to the desk. I did do a video, I guess it was 3 or 4 years ago now, when I went up to Seattle and went to the sound rail, the operations meet up there. Yeah, and I did those videos of layouts. That was 3 years ago?
3 years ago. It was 2018.
Yeah, that's right, because I was supposed to go back in 2020, but it kind of got canceled. Yeah. So, yeah, I shot that footage, gave it to John, and he turned it into some videos for TSG. And actually, go ahead.
I remember that. That was one of those things. I remember because you went up there. I think you wanted me to go up there, but I wasn't able to for whatever reason. And you're like, hey, I'm going to get this little gimbal thing for my phone. You want me to record some stuff while I'm up here?
Right.
I didn't know what it was going to be, but I was like, yeah, sure. What the hell? I'll see what it is. And if it's any good, we'll see if we can use it. And you started sending me these videos.
Right.
And I'm looking at it going, oh, this is really kind of cool, because I'm not getting to see all this stuff, but someone else is. And I had a great time doing that. Trying to remember what we called that. It was just a 4-part series.
Wiley's Wanderings, I want to say.
Was it Wiley's Wanderings?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Wiley's Wanderings and Wiley's stuff, there's another thing we should let people know, that we are in the process of putting together something called Wiley's Workbench.
That's right.
That's where this guy right there is going to be doing some stuff on his workbench, like how-to stuff, and sharing it with the audience. And I'm pretty excited about that, John. I know. We're here to talk about motivation, but you want to talk about that a little bit, like
it ties directly into it, because really, as usual, just kind of like the trip to Seattle, I had some random idea and I told you about it, and then you were like, "Sounds good," so now I have to do it.
Have you ever suggested something? I'm like, God, that doesn't sound any good.
Well, we won't. That's for TSG Channel 3 when we talk about that. Basically, I've started doing work with brass, and for my budget, most of the brass models I get need some TLC. They are not super well painted or ready to go out of the box, and I enjoy tinkering, so I've started tinkering with these models, and usually it involves taking them apart to some degree or another, cleaning them, and getting them to run well. I have the idea of filming some of this, since I've been doing it for a while, and John said it sounded good. So as a motivation factor, I told him about it, and now he wants me to do it, film it. So I guess I'll be working on some models, and my motivation is I got to get John some video. Plus, I enjoy doing it, but it also helps sort of keep it a little more in the forefront, and it's not something I'm going to get to in 3 or 4 months. Maybe hopefully 2 or 3 weeks, kind of a thing.
Right. Look at this. Our buddy Sparky.
He went and found it.
Yeah, he went and found the you can't click on that in the screen, but it is in the chat if anybody wants to watch it.
I can neither confirm or deny that that's me in those videos.
I can, because there's only one guy that looks like you. So,
I don't even remember what I looked like in those. I think there was less gray hair in the beard, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but if you look at yourself on the picture right now and go, woo, that's what you looked like.
That's right.
Just like that.
I'd been stuck in data centers far too long when I took that trip. So, being outside with other humans was a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, the really cool thing about, I think for that trip was that you got to meet some people that you wouldn't have otherwise meet.
Oh, yeah.
Or wouldn't have otherwise met, I should say. And I remember because something else that we did together was also in 2018, we went to the National N-Scale Convention in Utah.
We went to Salt Lake too. Yeah.
Yeah. And we actually rode the California Zephyr out to Salt Lake City in coach, which I will never do again.
Oh, come on. You got to spoon with our buddy Robin.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. That probably would have been better if I had got to spoon with Robin. It just wasn't comfortable. I think by the time by the time we got to Winnemucca, I was ready to be off the train and in bed somewhere because the seats just weren't comfortable enough for that. So
no, there's people that take it across the country and just use the coach seat. I don't know how they do it, but if I get to do it again, I'm definitely getting a room. I'll spend the money and get a room.
Yeah, it'll be worth it. It would be worth it.
Now, I do want to take the train again. I mean, once we got uncomfortable, it wasn't great, but most of the trip up until that was awesome. I mean, the scenery and just talking to people and hanging out in the observation car, I totally dug it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, that was great. That whole, I think, all the way to Reno was excellent.
Yeah.
I think it was after Reno, it was kind of like, okay, I could probably do with a real seat and real food, or what about the food? Remember that?
Yeah, the food was okay. It wasn't great. And now it's probably even worse since they're not doing cooked food, right? It's all pre-prepared stuff. But yeah. I don't want to get too far off track. We're supposed to talk about motivation in the hobby and other things, right? Not bash on Amtrak. Not to mention, you don't want to anger Adam Pinellas because he knows where you live. Oh, yeah. Well,
I don't know. I wouldn't want to see that guy mad. Believe me. Yeah. What a great guy, though. But we're going to get off track if we start talking like that. So let's go to something else. So we want to talk about motivation. And I was thinking about this all day today. I've been thinking about how to broach that subject. And by the way, I do want to invite people to call in. We don't have anyone waiting yet. But the introduction for motivation for me is basically some tricks that I've learned over the years, because it happens. I think that making videos, which is what I have the most experience with, and working on models are actually very similar in the sense that it's a project that has specific steps that you have to take. And at the end, you have something that you'll enjoy or that you're proud of or whatever. And I have some trouble sometimes getting started with a project. And I don't think it's anything more than just be feeling overwhelmed. Does that make sense?
No, for sure.
Right. So, it's like, I want to get started. This happens every time when I have a podcast, right? That's another thing that I tell a story quite often, John, that involves you, that I stress out during podcast week. This is podcast week. We're doing this live stream during podcast week.
Wow.
I don't look stressed right now, do I? Because I finished the podcast and I uploaded it, right? I uploaded it yesterday. But what happened was we were doing something. I think we were running trains at the club or something, or at the museum, because it's a museum, not a club.
True.
And I think I must have been snappy or something, because I must have said something. You're like, what? Why are you all uptight or stressed out about? And I'm like, oh, it's podcast week, and I got a whole ton of stuff I need to get done to get the podcast done, and I'm just, kind of high strung, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember what you told me?
Oh, so I think it was something along the lines of, what do you have to worry about? You do it all the time, and you're great at it. Just go do it, and you'll be fine. You don't really need to worry about anything.
Exactly. And I thought to myself, oh, here's the guy that actually is making sense. Like, I do this once a month for the past 5 or 10 years,
Yeah.
It always gets done. It always turns out fine, so why worry about it? And I kind of internalized that. And I was thinking about that today, and it's not so much worry as much as it's kind of stress, because it's a really overwhelming task. Because when I do a podcast, I actually write an entire script for it. So that way I won't forget to talk about something. So that's a lot of work, and it takes a fair amount of brain power, because you're having to be creative, right? It's creative writing, really.
Right.
So you're having to be creative, and you're having, like, I'll go through my calendar and see what I did so I can explain to people what I've done for the past month. And then we have to record it, which means I have to get the green screen set up. I have to put all the lights. It's just another thing that's kind of a pain. Then that's only part of the fun. Then I have to edit the whole thing, which takes hours. And it's a slog going through this, point by point, and then I have to find the pictures to put up on the screen right over here. And it's just, so there's that. And then you have to upload it, which always takes a while because I have slow internet. But then you have to write the description.
Right. But you know what? So there's plenty of work, but you're always satisfied at the end of the day, right? I mean, it comes out the first weekend of the month and you're like, all right, that was worth it. And
exactly.
It's kind of the same thing, now that I've started screwing around with, brass engines and even just other models, a lot of times it's, especially if you want to custom paint something, right? You got to do all your detail work, lay it all out, clean it, you paint a color, you mask an area, you paint another color, it can get to be pretty tedious. But then you step back and take a look at it and you can be happy with your work. Or if you're not, then you can, strip it down and start over.
Yeah, it's true.
I ran into, I kind of had an issue with motivation and making something, a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak, today. A good friend of mine gave me a blasting cabinet, an abrasive cabinet for cleaning off metal and models. And I've had it for almost a year, ready to go. But for some reason, I was sort of worried that if I use it, I would mess something up. But it's most of the things we do in modeling are pretty forgiving, right? I mean, and, other than maybe dropping something 6 or 8 feet on the floor, most of the time you're going to be okay. So a friend of mine came over today, and I cleaned some brass trolleys he's working on in my cleaner, and they're ready to be hit up in the blasting cabinet. We ran them through the cabinet, worked like a charm, and nothing got broken. There's no new holes, so we're good to go.
Yeah. Someone was saying in the comments something about having stuff to do motivates them.
Yeah, sometimes that helps. Like for me, I'm going to turn, needing to get some videos to you for the workbench into some motivation. But at the same time, it can go the other way. I know, like I'm really bad about starting projects and not finishing them. I'm sure some other people can relate. So I have probably 8 or 9 engines and pieces, in the workshop that need various things, and sometimes you go sit down and then start working on one and then you get distracted and work on something else. I like to have the options to work on a couple different things, because often when I'm doing sort of my hobby time, it's since it's for fun, I don't worry about being super focused or super disciplined about what I'm working on. So if I work on something for a while and then I want to take a break, I can move to something else. Right.
So you're a project starter, aren't you?
I am a starter. Finishing may not be my strong suit, but I do finish projects. I've definitely put out quite a few.
Yeah.
I've learned that the size of the project helps. If I can break it down into pieces, more manageable pieces, it tends to get done more often than just having one giant thing I'm trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm. That kind of leads into something that I was thinking about earlier. I'm kind of a project finisher. Like I can't get started unless I know I can finish.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that can help finish a project, it can also help start a project, if you think about it, is to have a list. I was talking recently, it was a panel discussion. I hosted a panel discussion this past Sunday for the layout design and operations SIG meet. They have that annual meet every year. They asked me to host the panel discussion on Sunday for 2 hours, and we talked a little bit about list making. And Jack Burgess was on and said, I'm a list maker. And it turned out that there were about 4 or 5 guys out of 9 that were all list makers. And they found that they check stuff off lists, and that helps. So that was one of the things that I've always done is I have lists and lists of stuff and it feels good to check something off the list, especially when you get down to the bottom and it's the last
thing. It does.
You can throw that away, right?
Right.
So.
No, I've started doing that. I've got some house remodeling projects going on, and they get a little daunting. So I've started breaking them down into pieces, and I write it down. And it's like, go to Home Depot and, buy this lumber. And then the next day it's, all right, build this or just paint the hallway and not the whole house, So I've been breaking stuff down like that as well on lists, and it's very satisfying to check it off. I think Jack Burgess is a great example because, he's created some fabulous models, and he's very, very disciplined and thoughtful on how he goes about things. And it's, it may not be the process that works well for everyone, but it is something you could emulate, even just parts of probably, and it would help you out.
Yeah, for sure. As a matter of fact, what you said is exactly right. Jack is probably the most disciplined and most methodical person that I've met. And I think that's one of the reasons why he and I get along so well is I'm very methodical like he is. We do different things, obviously, and I will never be a master modeler like he is. But by the same token, he'll never be able to make videos like I do. So,
why not? You're right.
You do what you're good at, right?
Right.
And, we're working on different, I guess, specialties, right?
Yeah.
I got a message handed to me from our top secret producer that's sitting over here next to me that Gary wants to get on our show.
All right.
Forgot to mention at the beginning that you need to authenticate. When you're going to come on to the show, you need to sign into your YouTube account before you can get on. We did that because there was a little problem with a crank caller here a few weeks ago. So anybody who wants to get on needs to be signed into your YouTube account. Then you can get on by using the link. So Gary, if you can log into your YouTube account, like you're going to go upload a video, then click on our StreamYard link that I just posted in the comments. You will show up down here and we can bring you on. That goes for everybody, and everybody's welcome to call. So anyway, sorry about that, John. I just wanted to take care of that sort of housekeeping because I want people to be able to call in. Otherwise,
no problem.
The call-in show is not much of a call-in show if nobody calls, right? We just have to limit the possibility for crank callers because that's not cool.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So anyway, something else about motivation that I was thinking earlier was sometimes I get inside my head, and it's just like, just do it. Just start. I mean, it sounds kind of simplistic, and I realize that it is, but it works.
It does work.
If you just get started on whatever, the next thing you know, you've made progress and you're most of the way done or enough of the way done that you're kind of like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Yeah, sometimes for me, it's easy. If I can just get started, it's easy to sort of get that ball rolling like you talked about. And sometimes you just kind of get lost in what you're doing and all of a sudden, a couple hours will fly by. And sometimes you just get started, but you only do 10 minutes. But that still works. I think Bob Fallowfield, who you're familiar with on YouTube and social media, talks about spending a half hour, an hour every night at his workbench. But another gentleman, Neil Erickson, who's involved with A Modeler's Life, talks about doing 10 minutes a day, and he's building a new layout.
Right.
Hey, Dave Falkenberg, how you doing, buddy? I did every tool's a hammer, right? Yeah, checklists are very very useful. Also, Tim Ferriss, another author I read a bunch from, he also talks about the power of checklists. Actually, a nice story. I'm gonna veer off here a minute. There's a story about Van Halen and green M&Ms. So apparently Van Halen, when they started touring, went into a lot of new markets, smaller markets, and they had a checklist for the venues they were going to. And one of the things on the checklist was no green M&Ms in the back room, in the green room. And they did this to see if people had read the whole checklist, if they'd gone through everything. Because I guess part of this checklist was how the stage was built. And they found some of the venues where if there were green M&Ms, they hadn't read the checklist, the stage wasn't safe.
Oh,
so
interesting. Huh.
There's a little anecdote for you.
Wow.
About checklists and Van Halen.
Now I got to go listen to some Van Halen.
Yeah. I figured you'd appreciate that.
I do appreciate that. I could start talking about my favorite albums, but I don't think anybody cares about that.
That's Channel 4. That's Channel 4.
Right? That's the YouTube. That's the TSG music channel. Well, yeah, I guess it is. But that's something that I need to find some motivation for. I have not played my drums in probably a month.
Oh, man, come on. It's a great outlet for you.
It is, and I enjoy it a lot. But I just don't get out there. Like, I find like I'm doing other things instead. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't. I should go out and play the drums. I have a recording that I'm working on with my cousin right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, yeah. Wow.
It's just more creative juices. You go out and you're creative playing your drums and chilling out and letting yourself get into that flow state people talk about. That will definitely help you with editing and writing podcast scripts and whatever else you're working on, weathering cars, whatever you're working on.
Yeah, that was one of the other things that I struggled with finding motivation. I had intended for months to do a video about weathering, right? Because I started weathering cars last year, and I think they look pretty decent.
Yeah.
So I procrastinated, and then finally last month or a couple months ago, I needed it for content on the channel. So I kind of was forced into it. But I gotta say though that when I was doing it and as I did it, I found that I was really enjoying myself. So that's something else that I was thinking of earlier, that if you can find a way to start, whether it's just saying, okay, I'll just do it for 5 minutes, or I'll just get the space ready or whatever, chances are if you start that ball rolling, you'll continue with what you were going to do and at least do some of it. And the point is twofold. One, you started, and two, you made some progress. I guess threefold, because the third thing is now you feel good about what you've done. So,
well, I think it's great. I think, our minds are really good at making things way more complicated than they need to be. So sometimes you just sit down and get going. You find it's way easier than you expected.
Yeah, I think at times that is the case too. I know people overcomplicate stuff all the time.
So do we have any callers? Did Gary get through?
Not yet. I'm trying to understand why it's so hard. Oh, here we go. We actually know someone is trying to call in right now. So why don't we bring him on? Chris, if you're ready, let's see. Here he comes. Chris, how's it going? Welcome.
Hey man, how are you?
Hey.
Good.
I got one quick thing before I do this. There's two Johns here. How do we refer to you both as thing one, thing two?
Just call me Wiley. It's easy enough, like Wiley Coyote. Yeah.
All right. How are you guys doing?
You're doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. See, with motivation for me is that if you're in the middle of a project and if you feel like you're not going anywhere, take a break. Because I know most people will get frustrated with something and they'll say, okay, I'll just do it later, but they'll never do it again. So if you feel like you're stuck somewhere, just take your breath, just take a break. You'll get to it. You'll get through it. Another thing is that if you're starting a project and you really don't know how to start, there's many communities out there on Facebook and whatnot. You can ask for help.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of people who are willing to give that help.
These are some good tips.
Just don't be afraid to ask, and people will help you.
You're totally right. I've gotten a lot of help through the groups on Facebook lately with brass, working on brass and figuring out steam engines and things like that. Yeah.
Right. You can say, "Oh, I'm fine. I'll be fine," but you can be the most experienced model out there, but you can ask questions and whatnot.
That's right.
So
reach out for help. Asking for help is probably something we should all do more of in general.
Right.
We're always trying to just truck through everything.
Yeah, that's definitely.
You sound like you know what you're talking about, John.
I
feel like I'm
sure.
I feel like I'm listening to Dr. Phil or something.
Oh, geez.
No offense intended.
I do not play a doctor on the internet or otherwise.
Yeah, I like that idea though, Chris, because you're talking about taking a break, and that's something that I think I can take that advice more often, because I'll tell you what, when I get in here and I'm working on a project, you could ask our top secret producer, I don't even eat. I'm just out here until I'm done. Because I when I do something, I get really focused on it. And once I finally get, the motivation to start, and there are times when I've been out here working on something and I look up and it's time, like I'm finally getting to a point where I can take a break, or I feel like I can take a break, and it's like 10 o'clock and I haven't even eaten lunch yet, and it's kind of, that's not good. So taking breaks, I try to do that more now, where I'll stand up, because, you're sitting at a desk the whole time. That's not always good. I'll get up, I'll walk into the house, I'll go do something in there, or walk around or whatever. So yeah, I like that. Take a break. That's something that's good for keeping your energy or keeping your focus.
Right.
Cool.
Well, that's all I really have to say.
All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Thank you for having me. And
yeah, you're welcome.
As a member of the SPHRS, I know you're trying to reopen, John, and I hope one day it will happen. Just gotta.
As soon as the guidelines allow us to have people inside, we'll do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for your time, and I'll see you on the next one, I guess.
Thanks
See you later, Chris. Thanks.
Always appreciate your call. All right. Chris is one of the best callers. He's always very to the point. He even put himself off the chat, off the window. That's how it's done, man. That guy's a professional caller.
Hey, I just saw a comment over here from Michelle Kempema. Oh. Hi, Michelle. We haven't actually met yet. About a Van Halen train for the museum. That would be awesome. And with, ESU decoders, you could have it playing Van Halen as it went around.
Yeah, but don't let the record companies know that you did that.
Oh, well, it's a private venue. It's not publicly broadcast.
Don't want royalties. Oh, boy. Well, it looks like Michelle's trying to call in, so let's bring her on.
All righty.
Michelle.
You could have it playing that.
Oh, you need to hold on. Let me take her off for a second. Michelle, you need to mute your YouTube. Oh, here we go. She just did it as I was clicking off. Let's add her back in. Oh, she muted herself.
Now I can't hear you guys.
Yeah, we can hear you now, but
I see. Hold on.
Yeah, what happens is when you have YouTube playing on the browser,
I have to close YouTube. I get it finally. I'm so tech not savvy. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
I thought you were smart. What's going on? Oh, because you're not wearing glasses.
I have readers. These are my readers.
There you go. Okay. Hey, now you're smart. Look at that.
I'm smart.
Michelle, this is John. John, this is Michelle. I've been wanting to have
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Wanting to have you two meet at some point anyway, because John's always asking me about all the stuff Michelle does for the kids at Colorado Model Railroad Museums, so that we can try to figure out how to implement some of that at SBHRS.
I'd be happy to help anytime.
Yeah, no, we were slated to come out to the sort of class seminar thing you guys were going to do before, everything in the world got canceled. So hopefully get to do that one of these days. Otherwise we can just talk online or something in the future too.
We'll probably do a virtual meeting for that group. That would be a really good idea.
Yeah.
I had something to say about the topic you were just talking about.
The motivation topic?
And there's a train coming, so I'm sorry you're going to hear the Union Pacific behind me.
Oh, darn, a train on the train channel.
Trains.
Oh, no.
You guys are talking about taking a break when you're tired or burnt out on something. We have a saying here. When I first started at the museum 10 years ago now, my very first day, Dave Truslow, who designed and built this place, said to me, Michelle, I have one rule. Just one rule.
Has to be fun.
Has to be fun, or change it. He said, if it's not fun, change it. So that's our rule. And so if you're getting burnt out, and this happens here with volunteers, they start getting grumpy about something or angry because they're frustrated. And I'll be like, wait, are we having fun? I don't think so. Let's figure it out, And so it gives us the ability to like pause and reset. So, but it's the same thing, I guess, in your home layout, wouldn't it? It'd be the same. Just out here, train.
There it is. No, that's a great point. Yeah, I had another good friend that would often tell me to take a break and I get frustrated with like decoder install or something. You definitely should stop if you're not enjoying it. Personally, I've really gotten wrapped up in just trying to get it done, kind of like some other guy I know over here. Yeah, that way.
Yeah, we know someone like that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there you go.
Trying to get
it's a great point. And might I compliment you on your sticker on your printer behind you?
Oh, do you like that? Whoop, this side. I'm so bad. I could never be the weather lady because I can't figure
it out. I know.
I can't even see it. What is the sticker?
This one. Oh, go this way. Oh, I can't get there.
There you go. Oh, there you got it. You got it.
I can't even tell what's
Modeler's life. I also have this though. You can't see it because it's on the other side, but I have my tray.
Oh, I have one of those downstairs. Yeah, cool.
It's fun doing these shows because I get to see friends.
Other people outside your house. Remember those?
I don't remember what that is, John. That's been a long time. Yeah, I was just thinking about that recently. I saw Michelle last over a year. It was like a year and a half ago. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago because we keep in touch, but it doesn't seem like it was that long ago when we were out there.
Yeah.
Even if we had been able to come out in April, which John just alluded to a second ago, it still would have been almost a year already since we had seen you. So it's funny how time flies that way.
It does.
So
it really is.
What else do you do, Michelle? Because you're a busy kind of person. What do you do to stay motivated? Don't you ever wake up and kind of feel like I just don't want to do anything today?
Oh yeah, I have those days. But honestly, I love being here in the museum because it's not the same every day. And that's important to me. I've learned that a long time ago. I was an accountant once and I hated it because it was the same thing over and over. And I need change in my life. And so this is the perfect place for me to be. Because if I come in one day, there's stuff I have to do, but then I have some time. And I was talking to my board tonight and they were complimenting me on knowing my steam stuff. We had a brass donation come in and the donor was there and I knew the parts of the steam locomotive and I'm talking, I know what they are and how it works. And he was just like looking at me like, where'd you come from? And what is this? Anyway, so I was telling my board, I'm like, my new topic is learning signaling. So I'm actually studying signaling and I have a master planner. This is Michelle's book of planning, and in the front would happen to be a steam locomotive and all the information on the big boy. And then I have all my maps so that I know where the railroads are. And I'm super nerdy. They're all laminated too, by the way, because I'm that nerdy.
So hold on a second. I think this is a tip on motivation. Being organized, I think also, because that's another, now that we're talking about this, I found that if I don't have an organized and neat workspace, I can't get started because I'm just like, I don't even want to be there.
You get overwhelmed before you can even get started. That's what happens.
Sure.
There's too much junk everywhere, right?
Yeah. So
I clean my workbench on a regular basis. I don't know how some people, we have a friend at the depot who builds amazing scratch built buildings, but if you looked at this workbench, I don't know how you'd find a pencil on it, let alone parts you need for something.
We're going to completely ignore this part of my office.
I wasn't going to say anything.
That's projects for the future.
That's future Michelle's problem.
Michelle's problems. Being organized is important.
I've often found, sorry, Michelle, I keep interrupting. We were talking at the same time. I've often found, and this goes to your point that you made earlier, John, that like if I'm going to do a DCC install or something like that, I break that up and I do one part of it. And when I'm done with the soldering iron, I put all that stuff away. You see what I'm saying? And then I get onto the next part with a clean bench. And I find that keeping stuff neat and tidy helps me a lot. So I can see where that, I can see where organization.
Looking at my wall here, I'm reminded this is our mission. This is our overall arching goals for the year for the museum, our strategic plan. See, it says so right up there. Right. I think even on a home layout, you need to keep that vision of what you want in mind because it will help you find the fun again when you are struggling with the fun. Like, why am I doing this? You got to keep that big goal in mind sometimes. I think that's important. So I put it right there. Like I see that when I walk in every day.
Yeah. People are commenting in here about clean workspace is key. If you can't find something, it's hard to get going.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of interesting that people, I mean, I guess we're all people, so we're going to have a lot of things in common when it comes to these things. Somebody's asking you, Michelle. I'm not sure what they're talking about.
I saw that.
I know how you start the big boy because I asked this question.
Is that what they're talking about? Or are they talking about smoke fluid?
You throw a fusee in the firebox and that lights, and that's how they light up the big boy.
Yeah, they have to get the fire going. They used to use oil-soaked rags, right? Way back in the day.
Something like that, yeah. So, nice trick question. Good try.
I didn't know if he was talking about smoke fluid for models or if he was talking about getting a
that was a model question. I'm not going to know the answer.
I have no idea. Maybe he'll elaborate.
Spark fluid in a model train. It's electric. That's like the blinker fluid. Like they
I was just thinking about that.
Fluid. That's what I'm thinking this question is.
Oh, that's good. Blinker fluid. I saw another one recently that was something about how the little nub on the tire, you cut it off so that the government can't track you. You know what I'm talking about? The air filter.
The valve.
It's a magical GPS thing. If you cut that off, they can't track you. I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, anyway, those are my thoughts. Always be fun. I live my life being with fun. So
right. I want to mention something that's gonna probably be a lot of fun, and it's a little spoiler alert because I'm gonna talk about this on the podcast very briefly. But since you're here, Michelle, we have something kind of in the works that we're going to be doing starting, I think it's on the 17th. It's the 17th. 2 weeks from yesterday, where Michelle's going to be on our next live call-in show. Yeah, it's on the 17th. Check this out. I'm going to do two things at once here.
In the girl planner, it's here on the 17th.
I have this amazing calendar.
What are these paper things you guys are holding that you put stuff on? I'm not familiar with those.
I love paper. I'm such an old school girl. And color. Can you tell my stickers?
February.
Does your backpack full of stuff weigh like 20 pounds you got to cart around, Michelle?
I have a special bag. Just for the planner.
Oh, look, it even matches.
The strap matches the cover. That's awesome.
Wow. This holds my colored pens.
Oh, I'm sensing a theme.
I like color. I'm such a girl. This is the only thing about me that's girly, honestly, is I love this stuff.
Well, your hair is kind of girly.
Yeah, that too. But
although you do look like some of those 80s metals guys.
Yeah, I could have 80s metal hair.
I don't think color is a girly thing, especially in this hobby. If you look at the paint collection some people have, I mean, oh man, they'll have 100 different bottles of paint. They're all different colors. I mean,
see, that would just bring me alive. I would be like, yes, let's play with your paint.
Or like all the artist pencils and pens they have that are all different colors, the markers and things. Yeah, it's impressive.
Yes, I love that stuff.
Do you know how you can tell, though, if it's actually made for girls is by the names, okay? Because when I was a painter many, many years ago, a house painter, we didn't have pale yellow. It was lemon chiffon. And, it wasn't like, light brown. It was cappuccino or Mocha
Right.
or
It has to have a name.
they have to have these frou-frou names, right? And that's how you know if they're being made for the female population. I think it's a rather sexist thing to say nowadays, but I know that's how those things were made marketing wise.
Well, they evolve with the times just like everything else. I actually used a paint color in my house this year that was called Chat Room.
Chat room.
And what color is chat room?
It's this sort of grayish green. It's a real neutral color, but they call it Chat Room. It's part of the special HGTV collection.
Wow, I'm learning more than I expected today.
So maybe to bring things back around here, we got any other callers for motivation?
We have more callers for motivation, so
Excellent.
I'm going to be motivated to say goodbye, Shell. And
thanks, Michelle. Good to see you. Nice to meet you.
I just called her Shell.
You're just being efficient.
Michelle, thank you for calling. I'll see you soon. 2 weeks from yesterday, we're going to have a live thing with Michelle, and I think that we're going to try to make that a once a month thing. So cool. Just a little, like I said, a little spoiler alert. Let's bring up Gary. Why, hello, Gary. You're muted. There you are.
Hey, I know that guy.
Hi, John and John.
Hey, Gary.
Hi, Gary and Gary.
I wanted to talk about sleeping in Winnemucca. Actually, my grandfather immigrated from Italy in 1892, and he ended up in Winnemucca.
Wow, you're not kidding. Wind up there.
Yeah, and that's something. And of course, he went to work for the SP for 48 years after that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Motivation, age.
Oh,
that's my motivation. I'm approaching the end of the line, and I got to get this thing finished before I croak so I can enjoy it a few years.
Sure.
So if you're an old geezer like I am, get cranking so you can finish it. I started this project in June of 2019.
Right.
And I finished one side, which is the yard and a little bit of industry. And I figured if I didn't finish the main part, I'd have a switching layout. So I finished that in 2019. And then all of last year during COVID, I've been building the main layout over here, and it's finished. It's finished.
Great.
The track is all in, all the switch controls, everything's in, everything's working pretty much perfectly. I'm down to the landscaping. In fact, I just got yesterday about 35 trees that I need to plant, and I started planting them last night, and they're growing, by the way. In fact, some of them already have oranges on the branches.
It's an impressive trick.
but I should have this done by June of this year, which means it took me 2 years to complete this, and I'll be 78 years old. I should enjoy it for a few more years, and then I'll take it with me.
Well, also
so that's all I had.
Yeah, something else though, Gary, that just made me think of your layout. Made me think of some people are motivated by competition. Like what if you want to finish your layout before someone else does, or what if you want to have a, what I mean? That can also get you going.
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, because I am in competition with a certain individual. However, I don't think it's a fair race, because I'll be long dead and buried before that person even has the room finished to even start doing the bench work.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess it helps if you're in a race against a handicapped person.
Well, I don't know what his handicap is. Probably he's just maybe lazy.
Well, I mean, that is a handicap. Yeah. All right. Is that all you got for us, Gary? Do you want to show us the layout before you go?
I don't know how to turn this camera around, but I'll just turn this around here. This is it's in the garage.
Yeah.
And can you see that? Is that coming through okay?
Yeah. Just fine.
That's the main part of the layout. Then we come around here to the first part that I built. By the way, the oranges on the trees are over here.
Oh, very nice.
And then this is the first part I built, which is the yard and a few industry tracks and the engine house and so on. So there you go.
Yeah,
well,
that's
great. I'm glad you've gotten that much done and you can enjoy it now. And hopefully, if we're actually allowed to see other humans again, maybe, some of us can come play around on it with you.
Well, this is a virgin layout. I am the only one who has seen it.
Well, now the whole internet has seen it.
Well, I mean, in person. I'm hoping to have some kind of operating session because I do have about 23 or 24 industry tracks to switch. I have like about 4 switching zones, and it will lend itself to operating quite well. Probably about 4 or 5 people, and so anyway.
Well, we need to make some serious plans once the pandemic is under control, because I know that Alvin wants to come out here. And I think what we'll do is when he comes out next, we'll have the first ever operating session on the Goofy Pacific. That is the name of it, right?
No, it's the San Luis Western. It's the fictitious railroad that ran between Gilroy and Los Banos over Pacheco Pass. That's why you see the reservoir there. See?
Okay.
It's supposed to be summertime in California, so it's all brown.
Yeah.
Hey, John, since we had Wiley's Wanderings and I went to Seattle, if Alvin comes out, can it be the Shakalaka Shamble? The Shakalaka Bro? Shamble around a bunch of layouts?
Dude, I got to remember that.
There you go.
Shakalaka Shamble. I like that. God, I tell you what, I get these ideas and I never know what to call them. I'm just going to call you and say, hey, what should I call this?
There you go.
All right.
Well, hey, thanks for the tour, Gary, and thanks for the input on motivation.
Okay, John and John, remember, when you get old, work fast because you got to get it done.
All righty.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
See you later. All right. Hey. Oh, it's always good to hear from Gary.
Yeah, I haven't seen that guy in a long time.
Yeah. Let's bring Joey. Good morning, Joey. How's it going?
Hey, I don't know how to follow up to that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe we should just hang up now. The show's over. Gary's been on. What can we do? It's not.
Gary did the mic drop. We're out of here.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
What do you do for motivation, Joey?
It's funny. Like, there's not one like separate thing that I do for motivation. It's just like I have to start doing something, and then I find motivation along the way. Like, so if I'm building bench work, as soon as I get like the frame done, I get motivated to like finish the legs, and then I get motivated to put the plywood on, and I get motivated to do this and do that. There's no like one thing like that sparks something. It's just like I'm like a process guy where like I've always been an artist my whole life, and the act of creating something out of nothing is just like that's what gets me going. So if I don't get started, I won't get any motivation at all. So that's what I do. I just start doing it, and then little things will spark along the way, and I'll just keep flying through it.
That's great. You can just keep rolling like that. I started building something in my garage earlier this year, but I got the bench work done, and then I kind of got stuck because I thought I knew what I wanted to do for track work, but I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah. Well, my dilemma is when I finish something, now what? I'm done. I'm not motivated to do anything else. So I have to like try to find a new project to work on to get motivated again. Otherwise, it'll just sit there and I won't do anything with it.
Sure.
I mean, occasionally I'll buy like a new locomotive, and holding it in my hand will get me motivated to use my switching layout or something, right?
Okay.
But other than that, I'll just lump around all day if I got nothing in the works.
Well, fortunately for us, model railroad layouts are never done, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Always something else.
It's funny because it sounds like you have that in common. One thing in common with me, Joey, which is getting started.
Yeah, you just got to do it.
Do you find getting started kind of hard, but then once you are started, you're in it for the duration until you're done, basically, like really focused, laser focused?
I'll find myself like ruminating too much on like a concept, right? I'll just have to all right, I'll just go and do this thing. And then if it doesn't start to work out, oh, well, I'll just do something else. But if I don't start it, I'll just sit there and think about it all day and not actually do anything. I have to force myself to like go down in the basement, like turn on the table saw and rip some wood through it. And then I've got bench work. But if I don't do that, nothing will happen.
You know, it's interesting because Jack Burgess has a kind of a similar reference, I guess, that he makes to finishing an area. Like, I'm going to take this to model railroad building because that's the context he used it in, where he said that he would want to finish a scene before he went on to something else. Because as you're doing this stuff, you know, now you want to see the switch stands in the yard. So you have to get to that point so that you can put those on. Now you want to, you know, put the buildings on, you know, like you're saying, one thing kind of feeds the next one. And I think there's some merit to that. I can see how that works. It's kind of like me when I'm going to do the podcast, for example. I get the script. When I'm done writing the script, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's get it out there and record now. Right? So, yeah, so interesting.
You want to reply to Shane's Trains comment? That's okay because I'm an odd person, so it actually fits.
Oh, this one?
I just figured you wore the hat so you didn't forget.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. Like, I'm getting older too, so who knows? I might lose my memory. I'll have to look in the mirror.
Yeah, but you know that I have a theory or a hypothesis that can't be what it is, or else it would be written in backwards. So when you look in the mirror, you can actually read it.
Well, I'll force my mind to stay sharp, so I'll have to figure out what the heck it says.
Yeah, but you might think your name's like Yo.
Well, then that's my own fault.
Maybe he is Gilbel Sugar some days, you know. Maybe the days he's Joey. It just depends on how he's feeling.
I'm going to order a hat with my name backwards. Just.
Are you?
And then I'll wear it the next time I'm on a live thing.
Excellent.
If it even gets to me, I've been waiting for something in the mail for about 3 weeks, and it's only a state away. So.
Hey man, it took me 6 months to get a couch, so I feel you.
Yeah, but this thing's only like this big, so I'm gonna just pop it in the mailbox.
It doesn't matter, right? It still has to go from here to there.
Well, my favorite is when you have the advanced tracking on something, and it goes. You know, say you're ordering something from Idaho, and it goes to some processing center closer to where I live. Then you see it at another processing center closer to where you live. And then suddenly it's like in San Diego somewhere. Like, what the hell? That's not even close to here. Like, how did it go from Oakland to San Diego on its way to me here in San Jose? That's only 50 miles away from Oakland, right?
According to the robots, that's more efficient.
I ordered something from Jersey, and it went from Jersey to Rochester, which is about an hour from me. And then the next day it was in Florida.
Yeah. What the hell?
Like, who messed that one up?
Yeah, that makes no sense. Okay, so now Dave's making smart aleck comments. So
yeah,
what was that
about?
It's just because Dave's jealous his mom doesn't put his name in his underwear anymore.
That's like when you're a kid and your mom writes little notes on the napkins so that when you open your lunch, you see it, Mom loves you, and then all the other kids are making fun of you.
That's funny. I do that to my wife. Well, I used to pack her lunch when she went to work because I worked from home. And then she'd find notes. And now that we're both working from home, I don't really write notes for her anymore. So maybe she's dead. Maybe I should go write some notes for her.
Valentine's Day is coming up. You might want to get on that.
Yeah. I don't want to be in the doghouse for that.
Right. Here's what you do, Joey. I got it. Go in the bathroom, roll out the toilet paper, and write something, and then roll it back up so that as she's rolling out the toilet paper, she'll get a message on there.
You know what? I'm going to do that. And on the very next square, it's going to say, John told me to.
Who's John? Who the hell is John?
He's not invited. What's going on?
That guy's never allowed to come to our house, ever.
Tell her it was this John. Right over here.
Thor the dog did it.
There's so many
producers advising against this plan.
Oh man.
Yeah, I won't do that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, hey, thanks, Joey.
All
Good
right.
to see you. Thanks for the
We'll see
comment,
you guys
man.
later.
We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
See you soon. God. Boy, I didn't know where that was going to go.
Man, they'll just let anybody have a podcast now.
Yeah, well, we're self-regulating on YouTube, so anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
We have another caller?
we don't have another caller right now,
Oh,
so
okay.
we're gonna have to talk until we get another caller. Since you mentioned it, John, let me go through the instructions again, just so
Sure.
people know. If you wish to participate, be sure your webcam is on. Be sure your microphone is working. Make sure you're calling from a quiet place. Have your browser window that has YouTube playing muted or closed, and know what you want to talk about before you call in. And make sure you're logged into your YouTube account before you try. Because if you try to hit the link that's posted in the chat, let me do that again right now. It won't let you on unless you're logged on to your YouTube account. So it's something called authentication, and it keeps the small parts people away from crank calls. Yeah. Did I tell you about that, John?
You did. You did.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me again. You've told me several times. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, something else that I don't know. For me, motivation is kind of a funny thing because I think of motivation in kind of there's two kinds of motivation for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that I will refer to as extrinsic motivation. That's where you're doing something for somebody else, or you have a deadline that's been imposed on you by somebody else, or a demand made by somebody else that you're feeling maybe because you owe someone, or because maybe it's for work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there's intrinsic motivation. That's when you're doing something for yourself. You're going to get something out of it for yourself. You're going to get some pleasure for yourself having finished something or having done something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that one of the tricks to getting projects finished is to do something that you're intrinsically motivated to do. Because that way you don't have to play tricks with yourself to get it done. Does that make sense? It's like being, self-motivated.
It does make sense, but I think you could start a project with all of those pieces in place and still leave motivation in the middle. Life happens, or you get tired, or especially if it's something you're doing for the first time and it doesn't turn out how you expected, that can be very demotivating.
It's true,
right? And then you don't want to keep going on it. Those are the things that's happened. That's happened to me quite a bit, where I've started a project and halfway into it, I realized it's not going to turn out how I hoped, because I was, trying to figure it out for the first time. Sometimes I can go back and take another run at it to see if I can figure out how to get to that end goal. But other times it's, it just ends up sitting there for a while. And I think one of the things that helps with that I'm still working on myself is it's just sort of an experience thing. A friend of ours, Michael Lane, who from our museum, he has been scratch building for a long time, and one of the things he told me one time that I always remember is, as your skills improve, it's not that you become necessarily some expert modeler at everything. You just, a lot of times it's you get good at hiding the mistakes, right?
Oh, right.
You learn how to take something that didn't turn out the way you expected to and use it. Turn it into a different aspect of a building or a scene, or put something on top of it, or change a color, all sorts of different ideas on how you can incorporate it and not let it stop you from getting done.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you mentioned that. I have this is kind of related to what you're saying, but I just thought of something that just happened to me today. Mm-hmm. I have an N-scale boxcar, or it might be a reefer, I don't know, some boxy car, piece of rolling stock, that I weathered over the summer last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I overdid it. It's a yellow car, and I just put way too much stuff on it to the point where I don't like it. Then today I happened across a picture of a similar yellow piece of rolling stock. Mm-hmm. And I saw in the picture some ideas of how I can salvage hiccups, how I can salvage what I've done. So you may find motivation in places where you don't even expect to find it. And that's also kind of cool, you know, just being open to receiving that inspiration, I guess. Does that make sense?
Right. It does. Yeah. Another member I would talk to on the N-scale side of things at the museum, he would weather cars in N-scale all the time and find that he would totally think they came out wrong, put them aside or even throw them in the trash. And then 2 or 3 days later, he'd pick it back up, look at it again, make some small change, and it was fine. Yeah. And then we've all heard the phrase, there's a prototype for everything, right? So I'm sure there was a yellow reefer out there that's just as crazily weathered as the one you did. So probably another lesson in here that all of us could use sometimes is, you know, to be a little bit easier on ourselves. And so you know, being kinder to yourself, you know, and as you're going through a process and learning something, I know I'm guilty of expecting to have something come out amazing the first time I do it, but since it's the first time I'm doing it, it often does not, right? But that shouldn't stop me from, you know, giving another shot or seeing if I could change something about it to make it work better. And I wanted to comment on the ideas of finding inspiration in other places. One of our friends who was chatting earlier, Dave Falkenberg, I've seen Dave post a lot that he started using Vallejo paints and other supplies to do a lot of weathering with model railroading. And a lot of those products really came from sort of like the military modeling side of things. And that's a huge source of inspiration that I know a lot of us model railroaders don't necessarily think about. Military modelers, you know, are experts at rust and grime and simulating and wear on things and making it look really realistic, or, you know, painting figures to look, you know, accurate flush tones, things of that nature, right? So it's a whole nother source of inspiration we could look into on how to make things work better. And I mean, I, for one, should probably start watching some of those videos just to learn how to paint, since I'm pretty basic in that area.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking about how, at least in my case, well, it was during the layout design and operation SIG meet this past weekend. And people were saying that, and it's true, that the people who are experts have only, they're not experts. I'm trying to think of how it went, because it was a really good saying. It's something about how they've messed up more. So their experience means you have to fail. So there's nothing wrong with, I know what I was going to say. It has to do with when someone's going to build a layout, for example. A lot of people who are like really hardcore at this will build a layout knowing that they're going to take it apart or dismantle it or destroy it, because they built it with the intention of getting better at something that they know they're not good at, or
the chainsaw layout.
Yeah, or learning how to do something that they don't already know. So like when you were mentioning earlier about the bench work that you built, I'm thinking that's probably the thing you built in your garage, right? That you sent pictures of at the time. You could always take that experience and apply it to the next layout. And eventually, when you're ready to build your dream layout, you'll have all the tools in your tool belt or in your toolbox to be able to do it and to do it right. Right. So I think that's there's some merit to that too. That leads me to another concept when it came to layout building that we talked about this past weekend, was taking it in smaller chunks. Because I made the example in our panel discussion of the guy who builds all the bench work. I think you did this, and all you have is all this bench work and you don't know what to do with it because you haven't gone through the process to figure that out before you built it.
Right.
I don't know. I'm assuming that's what happened, or something similar to that is what happened to you with your layout that you were trying to build, right?
Yeah, no, it did. I had like a vague idea, and I wanted to get to running trains so quickly because I thought that would help keep me motivated, right? If I could just get something going around in a circle, but it didn't really work out that way. I ended up having a lot more space, just a lot more sort of flat areas that I didn't really know how I was going to fill. And every time I sort of came up with something, I wasn't happy with it. Now that can go multiple ways, but I think for me personally, I was trying to do a little too much up front. But for some other people, once they they might be able to just sort of keep flowing on, having an idea of where get the bench work built, get the foam or whatever else you're going to put on top of the plywood, done. Then you get that first run of track down, you get a wiring. I mean, for some people, they can really sort of move through those methodical steps. But to go back to what we talked about earlier in terms of checklists, if I'd had some sort of checklist of, maybe the steps I wanted to hit to get from A to B and get to a point where I could run trains, even if just a circle, I might have been able to sort of move through it a bit more easily, and actually get farther along.
It sounds like we keep going back to lists. I think that might be a key here.
Well, sure, but I wouldn't want to focus on lists to the extent that, making the list becomes a larger part of the project than the project in some ways. Right? Like if you're trying to detail out every step, that might be counterproductive. And I think how much detail everyone needs is going to vary, from person to person.
Yeah, I think that's a key right there. It is going to be different. So I might need to have the whole thing fleshed out in front of me, like an outline with several subheadings, whereas you might be good enough at it where you just need those major headings in your outline. That might have to do with how experienced you are at something too, right?
It could be. But, I was thinking of the example that for your podcast, right, you talked about how you have to write out a whole script ahead of time, so you remember what to talk about and it gives you a flow when you're recording the podcast. And I think that's a great tool. But a lot of the videos and panel discussions you and I have done where you've had me on with other people, those were all pretty much unscripted for me. And those have been the ones that you've given me the compliments of, that I've either had good responses or good questions. And I'm, flattered by that, but I don't really, I didn't sit down and prepare ahead of time. So that kind of stuff did come, it came organically and somewhat spontaneously, but there was a framework, right? Like one of the panel discussions we had was private layouts versus club layouts, I remember. So we were working within that framework, so we did have something to go off of. So that kind of goes back to your idea of a list where even maybe a basic list gives you something to go off of.
Yeah. I remember that. Do you realize, John, that was the pilot episode for the TSG Crew Lounge episodes?
I remember that. You're going to tell me now it was like 2 years ago, right?
It was close to 2 years ago. I think it was July of 2019 or no, 2018.
Yeah,
what?
It had to be 2018, I think.
I think it was 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I think. I don't know. No. I don't know. It was 2019. I don't think we started doing the panel discussions till 2019. So it was almost 2 years ago.
I'm sure that's out there. Yeah.
Something that I did for that program ahead of time. I don't know if you remember this, but I had created, it was almost like a PowerPoint presentation, right? I had created slides that I'd bring up to introduce each new point. Remember that? And we'd bring up a point and then we would discuss it.
Right.
So there was a bit of structure to that, and there was a lot of preparation that went into it.
I'm sure.
It was just that, well, I mean, I did all that, so you weren't privy to the preparation, but it definitely made it flow better for sure.
Well, I wasn't privy to the process you went through for the preparation, but I very much benefited from it. So I understand the value of it for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw it when we were there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that there is a methodical sort of context to what I do when it comes to videos. And, I also think that there's a level of motivation that just comes from knowing what you're doing. And what I mean by that is when I go to weather something, it's still kind of new to me. So I'm kind of unsure, what steps should I do this? Should I do the dark color first or the light color? Or do you know what I mean? So it's kind of a learning process at the same time. Whereas by the time I'm ready to weather an expensive model, because I'm going to wait until I feel like I'm really good at it before I do that. I don't think I'll have that problem because I'll know exactly what I want to do in what order I want to do it. So maybe having some kind of a plan or having the knowledge of the process motivates me more. I don't know. I think that makes sense.
I would take that, and I would say for me, like when you have a comfort doing something, you're somewhat comfortable doing it, it's easier to get through the various steps of it. It's easier to be motivated to finish it. It's also easier to sort of handle unexpected things that come up, right? Like if, I've done a ton of DCC, but every once in a while, if it's especially when it's in a model I haven't done before, putting in a decoder, I expect it to go one way and you get inside the unit and it's like, oh wait, I'm gonna have to change that plan.
Right.
It
looks like Robert Darby agrees with Gary, having deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Darby,
setting a deadline for yourself can be great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes people will set deadlines for you and then they get upset when you don't make it. And it's kind of like, well, that goes to that whole intrinsic and extrinsic motivation that I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm motivated a lot more by intrinsic motivation than I've ever been by external factors. I remember when I was working in my sales job and these people made all these demands and all of it to me was just like, I don't care. I don't care what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here, for my own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I'm going to outpace whatever you're asking me to do anyway. So don't bother telling me what you want because you're going to get more than, you know what I mean? It's almost like it was insulting.
Sure. Hey, John, I'm going to step away for a second. I will be right back. So you entertain the troops and I'll see you in a second.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. I could hear John's doggy in the background making some noises. So she must have to go potty or something. That's something I don't think we talked about before we went live. John has the cutest dog. He got her a little over a year ago. And you can see her actually on the Chasing Trains video that I did when Alvin Shakalaka Bro came out to California last year. We went to John's house and his dog Bella was a puppy at the time. And she is I'm trying to remember, she's not a lab, she's a retriever. But she's not yellow, like she's not a golden retriever, she's like a white one. And she's really cute. She's a little bit of a spaz, but she's really cute. So anyway, while John's off taking care of that, I'm going to mention again about calling in, because I could take a call while he's gone. We're generally talking about motivation, but we've been talking about that for a little over an hour now. We could really talk about anything you want to talk about. And if you'd like to, the link to call in is listed in the chat. I'm going to list it again here real quick. And the rules basically are just make sure that your webcam is on, your microphone's working, you're calling from a quiet place, you have your browser window that's playing YouTube muted or closed, and you know what you want to talk about before you call in. And just know that you do need to be logged into your YouTube account before you can call in. I'm going to take this comment here. My motivation is taking the hour-ish drive up Weber and Echo Canyons and looking at the prototype, getting video and pictures to help me decide how I want to proto-lance my layout. Oh, I see. So doing the research. That does make sense. Yeah, very good. Okay, it looks like we have Rusty calling in. John's probably going to come back and we'll be talking, Rusty. And good afternoon. How's it going?
Hello, it's evening here, not afternoon.
Well, I think 5 o'clock is still afternoon, isn't it, for us?
Well, it's 7 here, so.
Yeah, well, good evening to you. It's good afternoon to me. You want to call in and talk about motivation, Rusty?
Yeah, I had motivation issues here a while back. I had my layout in this one room. I bought this little house, and I put it in this one room, and I had several doors, and it was going to create a situation where I had, 3 lift outs and all that kind of just some crazy stuff. I finally just give up and moved all my bedroom stuff into another bedroom, and then moved it into the master bedroom, which is to have that other little room for something else, but for my work at home office. But that was killing my motivation, because no matter what I did, I just couldn't get it to work out right, and I just couldn't do everything I wanted to do. Well, now that I got it moved, and it took a little bit of that and getting all that set up, now I'm trying to find a little motivation to keep moving on. but I think I'm going to do my little paper mill section, set it back up again. I've got it kind of laid out how I want it. I got some track ordered that's coming in, a couple of things.
Yeah.
Turnouts. Just kind of one of them turnouts when you pull them Co 55 turnouts up for end scale, they didn't exactly come out as pristine as I wanted to. So some of them. So.
Yeah. There's the dog I was talking about.
There's my other co-host there.
Yeah. Did you have a little Bella emergency? Is that what was going on there, John?
No, I had a John emergency.
Well, we should have just done this on phones. You could have just brought it with you. Oh no!
No.
Not good. So anyway, no, I hear what you're saying, Rusty, and I agree. I think that having the proper space, and I can relate because recently I converted a space in my office here, and I actually drew some information from this guy on the screen here, right there, because he has a TV up in his workspace that's mounted on the wall, and I had a TV that I'm using as my second monitor so that I can do this green screen. And creating this workspace and getting rid of the clutter and the crap that was here before makes me want to be here more and do these more. So I get that. Having the right area or the right space to work with can be a huge motivating factor. So, yeah.
Well, not only can I have my layout actually look is a tad bit bigger, I got room for me a little workbench in there now.
Yeah, that I can see that. Yeah.
It's a lot better.
Yeah, very good. All right. Well, we got someone else waiting to call in. So is there anything else you want? You're good, Rusty?
No, not really. I'm all right.
Okay, well, thank you much for he was gonna say it. Go for it.
Oh, thanks, Rusty. Thanks for your input. Thanks for calling in today. All righty.
All right. Take it easy, man. Okay, so we have Midsummer Railway. Greg.
Hi.
Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Good, thank you.
Excellent.
So, motivation. My motivation, well, little story first so you get to understand. I used to have a 00 system. I downsized and sold it. I moved and I had a heart attack. And so, sorry. I had a heart attack and I wasn't allowed to do anything for about a month. And I started getting bored out of my brain. I was one day in the garage and it was still full of crap. It still is now. But I found an end scale that a friend had given me a long time ago. And I went, well, I can't drive a car. I can't do this. I can't do that. My motivation became my model railway. So I started on that, and the guy I sold my 00 or HO system to, I became friends with. So he was having lots of trouble, so I'd go up there, and because he lives in the country, and I would help him out. So my motivation also becomes him because I help him, which motivates me, and vice versa. And also watching all the different guys, like, you guys watching your channels and other channels, and being a little bit geeky, and I used to. I haven't worked for a while, but I was a tech guy in computers, and Gadget is my middle name. But the other thing I also wanted to say, because I had been listening, was, you talk about you make something or you paint something and you look at it and think it's crap. I do too, but I also have that other motivation because of my heart attack, etc., etc. I get to the point, had enough, sit there, leave it, and come back to it later. Don't throw it away. Don't do anything else. Just leave it. And when you come back, you'll go, oh, I can do this or I can do that. And it's because you're constantly looking at it, walking away, doing something else, and coming back gives you that extra, not motivation, but a different way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And I always tell my friend who's got the layout in the country, stop. look somewhere else, and then come back.
I think that's good. That's good advice. I mean, coming back to something with what people refer to as fresh eyes, I think is good for a lot of different projects. I know even some painters will do that. Well,
not just for model railway, but for everything else.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that echoes things we've heard earlier today on the call. Is that stepping away when you need a break? That it's a big part of it. It helps keep you going, keeps you from getting burnt out. Yeah,
well, it burned out. Well, I can relate to that. I'm not trying to carry on, but I have chronic fatigue caused by working in IT, working 18, 20 hours a day, flying around the countryside, et cetera. You do get burnt out. So I've learned from that experience and not working anymore. But step away.
Right on. Well, hey, thanks for sharing, Greg. And keep at it and stay motivated and, take it easy in small bites as you need to.
Well, everybody like you guys motivate me. I see something and I go, So I will say, because it's lunchtime here, and we're ahead of you guys because it's actually Friday here.
Right.
It's Friday, 12:30 in the afternoon. So it's good afternoon and good evening. Is that right?
That's right. All right. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Appreciate it, man. Take care. Hey, what do you know? I was trying to figure that out. I thought I was placing the accent right, and he gave it away at the end. So.
Hey, we just talked to the future. This podcast is cool.
It's we're ahead of our time, John. Are you ready to send it? No, we're about to send it. Are you ready?
Send it.
There he is.
What's up, bro?
Man, I wish it was Friday at 12:30 right now. I can't lie.
Dude, are you hiding in a cave or something? Where are you?
I'm in my basement. I'm in the basement. This is my place. This is my Hot Wheels cars. You want to see my Hot Wheels cars?
No.
That's really relevant.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna dump that thing on your head for a minute there.
No, that would have been funny.
There's a sweet Volkswagen GTI. Anyway.
Hey, I have a question, Alvin. Can I put those on my HO scale layout?
Yes, it's your layout, man. Do what you want. Do whatever you want.
If you want to send it with the Hot Wheels cars, send it.
Yep.
I want to see Alvin have the orange track with the loop on his layout. You send him through it.
There we go.
I remember those things. We used to hit each other with those tracks.
Oh man, those things were crazy.
They hurt.
They made the whoosh noise whenever you swung.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And they made a smack noise when they hit.
Yeah, my dad threatened us with one of those one time.
Right.
He wasn't playing around.
What do you do for motivation, Alvin?
What do I do for motivation?
Yeah.
Get tired of sitting around.
I can see that. I can totally see that.
Yeah. Something that gets me fired up is watching a lot of YouTube videos. So I have a 1988 Volkswagen Cabriolet. And when you say cabriolet, you got to do this with your hand. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just one of those things. And a cabriolet is a Mark II GTI that's convertible. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I am burnt out on that car. I've had it since 2012, maybe 11, and it's been sitting for the last 7 years.
Right.
And I finally got motivation to work on it because I was watching YouTube and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna research. This is me researching on the keyboard. Yeah. Do some research. My doggy showed up.
Hey, doggy.
Look at that.
That's my golden. Look at that.
Hey, buddy.
She's so sweet. Hi, Lily. So one thing that got me motivated was finding videos on YouTube about people working on their cabriolets. And I was like, hell yeah, man. Let me get my cabriolet going. So I got a little bit more motivation to do some cabriolet work, but I'm not any further now than when I was a few years ago.
So what will you do to get motivated to continue it?
I think I'm just burnt out on it, to be honest.
Yeah. Huh.
Well,
I just wonder.
happens.
Yeah, I just wonder because I had thought about that. You can get inspired by watching other people's YouTube videos, for example. I think that's true.
With progress reports, and then they do a thing, and then you're like, oh, I could do that. That's no big deal.
Well, I got to tell you, after seeing Gary earlier, I'm definitely feeling like I need to get my butt in gear here. I mean, he basically started just over a year ago, and he was like, I'm going to finish this whole thing. And he did. And it's done, and it works. I'm like, damn. And I still have a bunch of stuff in the box.
Stupid Gary, right? Like,
that's right, man.
Cranking it out, man.
He is.
He's jamming on that thing.
He's done more in the last year and a half than I have in the last, 8 years.
But Alvin, were you watching when Gary called? Did you see what he said?
No, sorry. I was out at dinner with my wife, and we just barely got home.
Yeah, do you know, he confirmed what I said to you one of these recent times we were talking on the phone.
Oh.
And I said, I think he wants to finish the layout before he dies so that he can use it. He told us exactly that.
Wow.
He told us exactly that.
It is super motivating, Sydney.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could see where, like Greg was talking about having a heart attack, and people who have sort of, near-death experiences like that find motivation to do the things that are important to them. So I get that, and you don't have to have that happen to you in order to understand what he's talking about.
I can't wait to get old. I'll tell you what, man.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm sure you can, man.
Yeah, you'll know when you're getting there, because when you bend over to pick something up, you make noises and you didn't mean to.
Yeah,
your toes are very far away,
and something comes out like
Well, I mean, that could happen. That's not what the noises I was talking about. I just mean like bending down, and you're just like trying to reach for something.
Yeah, thankfully I can still touch my toes, so that's nice.
Yeah, well,
must be nice. Must be nice,
right? Earlier today, I was working on the car, and I had to get way under the car. So I had it up on the curb and up on the ramps to give it extra elevation, right? And I'm crawling under that thing on my back, and I'm sure I was making noises because I was like, just trying to walk my back, to under the car. I can just imagine, being the neighbors and listening to this jackass across the street grunting while he's trying to get under his car.
By the way, viewers, John makes weird noises under the car. Will be available on Channel 3 soon.
Yeah. No, dude, I mean, I would have been across the street just going, just take it into the shop, all right? You're embarrassing yourself.
The good news is you don't have long hair that will get caught on something, so you're going like this the whole time.
I can see that. Yeah. Pushing back on your back, and your hair is pulling your back down your nose.
We'll just get Joey to send him a hat that says Alvin, and that way it'll hold the hair and won't get caught on stuff.
Yeah.
You put your hair up under your hat. Yeah,
that's
that could work.
That's right.
That's a great idea.
Right.
Give me a hat that says Alvin.
No, I was gonna say Shakalaka.
It can say whatever.
Or Fabio, maybe Fabio.
Maybe not so much Fabio.
Put those Fabio. Put it the wrong direction, dude.
Well, hey, Alvin, what's something you can get motivated on in the next couple of weeks? Car, train, Hot Wheels, otherwise.
Something I could get motivated on. Let me see. Do you see that?
It's wood.
It's wood.
Screwed into a shape.
Yep. And then I got some foam.
Hey.
Oh, he has the makings of some layout stuff.
I have the makings of some layout stuff. Something that's holding me back. Yeah, it's like my I'm crouched on this. This is my vent. It's really low down here. Something that I can do to get me motivated. Look at that. Is I need to get some wood so I can put it on the top and use it as sub road bed.
Mm-hmm.
And something I can do to get motivated is have you guys hold me accountable to get that done.
Well, hey, there you go. You heard it, Internet. 2 weeks from now, when we do another one of these, you can call in. We can see your wood. Wood for the layout, not the other. We're experiencing technical difficulties.
No, John. That's why I have this. That's why I have this authentic.
Am I going to get banned now?
Oh no!
Yeah. We don't
Just
need
me when I throw my wood on the thing.
Yeah. You know, though, looking at that little frame that you have set up there, it reminds me of something that John and I built 3 or maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, we built some modules.
That I still have sitting in my other outbuilding here that I still haven't done anything with. But I will say this. When I made the video about the weathering on that little boxcar, I took that mod. Oh, no, I didn't even use the module for that. Never mind. I was going to lie. Never mind. What I was going to say is that I have plans, John. I actually have plans to build something for that module.
I believe you.
It's going to be something that I can set up just outside to take pictures with, And then what I'm going to do is the plan right now is to get a piece of N-scale flex track, which I think we still have some left over from the project at the depot. Do you know where that is?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to want to get a piece or two of that flex track, and I'm going to lay it out on some kind of road bed, so cork or something, and I'm going to ballast it, and I'm going to glue it all and just have it as a piece of track that I can set down or take off of that layout. Then I'm going to do
style. Yeah.
I'm going to do the same thing with an HO scale piece of flex track, which Seth Newman has graciously offered to donate to me. So I'll have to remember to take him up on that when I see him again, and do the same thing with HO. So that way I can have an HO one that I put down for pictures, and I can have an N one that I put down for pictures.
Yep.
And then I have an old piece of scenery that's like a mountain that I got from the museum. Robin was going to throw it away because he couldn't use it in the logging section. That's gonna be the background, so I can take that outside. So I will do something with it. It just has to be portable and it has to be flexible. So I'll have to you'll have to keep me accountable for that, Alvin.
Yeah, I'll keep you accountable.
So why don't we do that? Why don't we make a plan that in a couple of weeks, when I do the show with Michelle, it's on the 17th.
Okay.
You can call in and show us the work that you've got done on that little piece of wood there, on that little flat layout.
Okay.
See, now you're laughing. Are you going to do it for real?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing? Do you have gas or what is that?
No, it's just funny. Funny. Hey, John, where's your dog at?
Over there.
She left.
There we go. Let's see. Oh, he's so cute. Look at that dog.
Isn't she cute? She's looking at us like, what are they talking about me?
That's the dog.
There she is. Archie blows. I have one more question for you, John.
Okay.
Do you still drive a minivan?
I do. And right. It is a swagger wagon. Get it right.
Oh, okay.
Swaggin' wagon.
Swaggin' wagon.
Swagger wagon. Not the. I'm not even going to go there. Just
I called my minivan that too.
All right. Thanks, Alvin. Good to talk to you, man.
Good to talk to you. Good seeing you.
Right on.
Adios. Thanks for sending it, bro.
You're welcome.
See you later, brother.
See you later, brother.
This guy.
He's still on the show.
I know. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. See you later, bro.
Technology. Push the button.
This guy. Oh, what? I should have left Alvin on. Oh, there you are. What happened to your camera? It looks like you're like this now.
Me?
It's just your.
Well, I moved it to check out the dog. I don't know.
Oh, that's what it was. There you go. That's better. Oh man.
You know, this TSG budget would get me a studio like my rider, requires. I mean, geez. Gotta read my contract. There's all these green M&Ms over here.
What you need to do. Oh, there's Stephanie, but she's not on the screen, but she's in the basement. Hi, Stephanie.
No one can see that but you.
I know. But I wanted to be. He wants to come back on. All right.
Oh no.
What is it?
Oh no. I was just saying I'm upstairs, and
I say he's not in the basement anymore.
No,
Hi, Stephanie. Did you want to be on the internet?
Hi, Stephanie. She's internet famous now.
She's internet famous. Look, it's proof. I have a wife.
We didn't not believe you.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
All right.
Okay, bye for real this time.
Yeah. See ya. What he was referring to is when I went to Utah with Gary about 2 years ago, I think. It was 2019. That was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We went out there. Gary and I went out there to chase 4014, right when the big boy was running around in May of 2019. And for the first, we ended up staying with Alvin. And for the first couple of days, we didn't even see Stephanie.
Because of our work schedule, right? Yeah.
So at some point and you can see this on the Chasing Trains video. It's I think it's part 1 or part 2. Gary and I were going somewhere with Alvin, and Alvin was driving, and we're just kind of giving him crap, he keeps saying he has a wife, but I don't think so because we haven't seen anybody. Something like that, just giving him grief, And then finally it turns out that we met her. I think it was the next day. She comes walking down the stairs and I had the camera running. We're like, oh, hey, he does that. So you must be her.
Yeah. And you did that whole huge round table from Alvin's place too, while you're out there.
Yeah. That was later in the year. That was in July when I went back to Utah with Sydney for the NMRA National Convention.
Oh, okay.
And we had been running around on the train show floor, and Michelle Kempema, Joe Fugate, Adam Pinales, Chris Brimley, and Chris Palomares. And
that's right.
A couple other guys from the MRH staff came over, and we did it was really the first ever big panel discussion that we did. That was a lot of fun. And we did that right from Alvin's living room.
Right.
Which was pretty cool. I think a lot of people don't realize that Michelle was there, but we were actually using her webcam and her microphone with my computer to put that out on over the internet. That was a lot of fun.
So hey, as we get to the tail end of our session here, do you just kind of want to open it up to general topics?
Yeah, let's open it up. Anybody want to call in and tell us what's on your mind? I see that Tree Frog Flag Productions, that's Trevor Park from the Fern Creek and Western. I see him making comments in our chat screen.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to call in last time, but I think he was working or something. But it would be good to have him call in and tell us what's new on the Fern Creek and Western. That would be kind of a cool thing to do if he's available. I don't know what he's doing, but.
Well, there's also, haven't there been a little bit of work at Roaring Camp maybe he's been involved in recently too? I know they haven't really been, I guess they've been open some last year.
They just reopened because they were shut down for the pandemic. They were shut down up until I think last week. So they've been kind of struggling along, not working for a month at a time here and there due to the pandemic. I mean, when you're open, like we're dealing with the same thing with the SBHRS. When you're open to the public or a public place like that, you have to conform to very strictly conform to what the health department or the public health officer in whatever county you're in says you can or can't do.
Right.
Because if you don't, they can shut you down, and nobody wants that.
No, it's been tough for us because I mean, not only are we open to the public and we want to keep everyone safe, but our own membership can't come down, and the social aspect of our group is huge. I mean, that's a big part of it for me. I miss being able to see a lot of my friends in person. You know, we've done a couple of video calls like this, but it's definitely not the same as just all being together. Yeah, you know, and sharing whatever joy we get out of being down at the depot, whether it be trains or just shooting the breeze or watching the world go by. Or
going to get a coffee.
Yeah.
There's that too, right?
Yeah.
I know that's one of the things that I always enjoy doing when we're hanging out down there and you're running trains for a while. You're like, okay, I think I want to do something else. You know, it's that whole taking a break thing, coming back to it. You lose your motivation for running trains. You go over to the coffee place, get a coffee, maybe a bagel or something, and you come back ready to run trains again.
Well, you know, and also just at our particular depot, you know, with a lot of people wanting to run, you know, you try to take a break and let other people have their turn.
That's true.
Yeah.
So let me tell people one more time, since we are coming down to the end, we got about 15 minutes left. But we are opening this up for general discussion. If you want to call in, you can use the link that's posted to our chat. And it's also in the video description, if I'm not mistaken. Just make sure if you do want to call in that your webcam is on and your microphone is working. Make sure you're calling from a quiet place. Make sure that your YouTube browser or whatever browser is playing YouTube is closed or muted. And what was that? Was that Bella?
It's the dog.
Oh. And the other thing is make sure that you're logged into your YouTube account before you try to call in. So we have another caller. John, are you ready?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Hey.
We were just talking that you were talking about me, so I had to come on.
Yes, we
did. We said your name 3 times and you have appeared.
Yeah. But just like Beetlejuice, I'm here.
I don't even have a Ouija board or anything.
Don't worry, I'll show up anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So what's up? What do you? Well, I mean, are you calling for the general topic, or did you call for motivation?
I guess I could answer the motivation question. My motivation is working with others. That's my motivation.
Okay.
Because I'll tell you, when I'm at the Garden Railroad by myself, I get a whole lot less done than when I'm there with someone else. Because having other people to work with, you know, you can kind of both be working on projects together, and it just keeps building on itself, and it snowballs into actually getting stuff done really quickly, as opposed to building up the motivation on your own, in my opinion.
I can see how that would work. No, but
the other thing is when you got a lot of people working on, there's a lot of different projects going on. You see the amount of work someone else has done, and that motivates you to work a little harder to get your thing done. And that's, I think it's a good thing overall.
Yeah. Do you know, though, I wonder if we had Paul on here, would he say that you're wanting to work with other people or wanting to boss people around?
He'd probably say I want to boss people around.
Right.
But he can answer that question.
Well, yeah. He'd have to call in to do that, though.
He would.
So, but I can see that, though, wanting to work with other people. You would kind of feed off of each other that way. And also, it's more fun, right? I mean,
it is.
Who wants to work, especially doing that kind of physical work all by yourself?
Right. And that's the nice thing about the Garden Railroad is that, you know, right now during the pandemic, it's obviously kind of hard to work indoors with people. And so being on a Garden Railroad, and especially one of the size of the Fern Creek and Western, you can all kind of be in your separate areas working on things, and we're all outside, which is really nice. And given how the weather's been lately, we've been able to get quite a bit of work done, which has been great.
Right. So now here's the question, because John was kind of alluding to this or asking this. How has Roaring Camp been? Because you guys had to shut down for like a month, didn't you?
About a month and a half, actually. Close to 2 months. I think we closed on December 17th, I think was our last day running. And we reopened on January 30th. Oops, sorry. That was my text tone. Anyway, we reopened on January 30th. So yeah, that was right around a month and a half closed.
Yeah.
When we were closed, we had a limited crew on. I was there, a couple days a week at most. For a while, I was fully out of there on unemployment. And then I was back to a couple days a week for like the last couple of weeks before we reopened, kind of getting things ready, doing some track work. We had a couple of pretty good sized storms that came through the mountains here. So we were cleaning culverts, ditches, making sure the railroad was prepared for a big rainstorm. And then also doing car inspections, because every year we do a yearly car inspection on all the rolling stock, roll the trucks out from under it, check everything, replace anything that needs to be replaced on it, generally do a little bit of maintenance to each car and big stuff if it needs it. And then so we had to do all that to all the cars, and then a little bit of work to a couple of the locomotives. So we're back running though. We're running this week. We're running Wednesday through Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But after this, I think we're going to go back to daily operation, steam, as far as I know. But that's all up in the air.
Yeah. Something I wanted to ask you about, Trevor, because I'm thinking about future topics for the TSG Crew Lounge, and I know it's kind of sketchy how available you are due to your work schedule, but
or lack
thereof. Yeah, well, depending what's going on, right?
No, I mean lack of a schedule.
Well, right, not knowing, right, is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
But I was going to say though, because I want to do one where the topic is garden railroading, because we haven't done one on garden railroading yet. Yeah. And I thought that you'd be a great person to have on to talk about that, since you've been doing that for a long time. And I think some of the stuff that you guys have done with the Fern Creek and Western that we actually detailed out on a video I think it was late last year. Yes. I think you'd be a great person to be on that panel. So just something to think about. I don't know. We normally do them on Sundays. So, I mean, I guess it's something we can talk about off air here.
Yeah. If it's late enough in the day, I can usually do it. It's just, dealing with it earlier in the day is hard because, weekends are the days when we really are actually running a lot.
Right.
Weekdays are pretty slow right now.
Something that I'm thinking I might be able to do is just for that 1 month, maybe adjust the time to be later, like in the evening or something like that.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, it might be harder for people on the East Coast to watch, but people in other parts of the world may not have an issue watching.
Well, I'm just so exciting to listen to that everyone's going to stay awake. It's okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Is that what they told you? Who told you that?
Well, all my passengers tell me that. No one falls asleep on my trains anymore, so apparently I'm exciting.
No, but they have other kinds of emergencies, though.
We don't want to talk about that one.
No, we'll skip that. I just wanted to see the look on your face when I said it.
Yeah, puked in my mouth a little.
Take it to channel 3. Come on.
Yeah. Did you just think of somebody that has a mustache just now? He has this vacuous look. Think about it. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
Oh, I thought your video was frozen.
No, I'm here. I just didn't know what you were talking about with the mustache.
Yeah, I'll mention it to you later, and you'll go, "Oh yeah, that's right."
I'm trying to think. I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me later. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much. It'll give it away.
Okay.
Okay. So that's it, though. Working with other people. Anything else on motivation?
Working with other people. Yep.
Okay.
Trying to think if there's any other motivation. Oh, I mean, as bad as it is to say, deadlines. I mean,
we've had a couple of people make that comment.
If you have an open house coming up, and
right,
that's actually when I get the most motivated to do stuff. And I realize, I've been dragging my heels on this project. I've been dragging my heels on that project, and open house is 1 week away, and I really got to get cranking. And I've had nights before open houses where I want to get this engine decaled. I want it to be finished, looking good for the next day. And I've been, in the train room decaling until 1 in the morning or something like that, trying to get it ready. Like that caboose that I brought for Halloween, John, you remember that?
Yeah.
I was up till 2 in the morning working on that the night before to finish it. And it had taken 2 years up to that point to build this car. And I finally got the motivation, like, I need to finish it.
Right. I remember that. And you said that. I think you said that on the video, that I finished this last night at 2 a.m. or whatever, some time like that. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. So deadlines and working with other people. That makes sense.
Deadlines. And, even though it's supposed to be fun and, we're not really supposed to have deadlines, being someone who's still in the academic system, having deadlines is how I get things done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the same thing happens with me, Trevor. I mean, let me put it this way. I don't really have to have a video come out every week on Saturday. I don't have to do that. I mean, that's something that I impose on myself.
Right.
So I'm kind of imposing that as a sort of deadline for myself to ensure that I stay productive and continue to have fresh content. So I get it. I mean, that's it, self-imposed or external deadlines. It all adds up to the same thing, which is getting stuff done.
Yes, it does.
So, all right. Well, we're coming down. Is there anything else or should we go?
No. It's time for me to take a shower. I've been on a train all day.
Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate that. And I'll probably talk to you later, okay? Because I do want to talk to you about some other stuff we're having going on probably next week.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks for calling, man.
Thanks, Troy. Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Wiley.
All right. So we're almost out of time. It looks like Greg called back in. Should we bring him up real quick, John?
Sure.
All right. You called back, Greg.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about COVID because COVID has had a huge effect. You cannot believe, if you think you've had it tough, we've had almost all of last year in lockdown. And at one stage from May to November, at one stage we couldn't go further than 5 Ks from the house. And that was being policed. And the whole of Melbourne was locked down with police and army. So we're talking about deadlines and everything else like that. I wanted to talk about COVID because you can't do that here. We struggle right now, even though we're sort of out of it, but on the verge of going back in because there's another outbreak potentially, is that we can't get model train bits. Like I went to get some 3-ply to add an extra. I'm building a new desk out in the train room because I'm in the office at the moment, and I couldn't even buy 3-ply. My car went in for service, and it needs a little, I don't know, something on one of the shockers, and I have to wait till April to get it.
Wow!
And I went, wow, all right, my car's getting on. Maybe I should buy another car. So I went to have a look at new cars. Some of them are a wait of 12 months.
Wow!
And I went, oh, okay, well, if I have to wait 12 months, maybe I'll buy a second-hand one. And I went, because I was at the dealer when this was going on, and I had a look at the second-hand ones, and you know what? I would have bought a new one cheaper than a second-hand one because the prices have gone up because you can't get new cars. And it's the same with train stuff. We can't get train stuff. Like you want to buy something for either modeling, they don't have them. You'd be amazed at how many things are out of stock here because we're so far away. And that's a big struggle here.
Yeah.
Big struggle. And that's all I wanted to say was just we can't have deadlines here because you can't guarantee you're going to get them.
Well, hopefully you have some kits or something else stashed away you've been meaning to get to for a while.
Well, I've got a few things stacked away that I can do, and that's what I've been doing. But it's just really difficult to buy bits and pieces. So I just thought I'd say that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the input.
No, that's okay.
All right.
Take care, Greg. Thanks for calling in again.
Thank you for letting me in.
You're welcome. Talk to you later, buddy.
I was going to say that, that could be sort of a show on its own. What people have done during the pandemic, the great pandemic of 2020 or whatever you want to call it, because it could lead to a lot of productivity, but it could also lead to depression. Yeah,
there's been a lot of people that have really taken advantage of it, and they've gotten a lot done on layouts and other projects.
Yeah. So anyway, we're just about out of time, John. I told you it goes by fast.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for taking the time to co-host the show. I had a lot
Thanks
of
for having me. It was a good time.
Yeah, I hope you had fun.
Yeah.
I think we should be talking sometime soon about Wiley's workbench.
Sure.
I haven't had a chance to do the editing on the footage that you've already sent to me, but once I do, I'll share that with you, and we can come up with some, stuff we can talk about off the air, I guess.
Yeah, it was just test, so we'll work on it later.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. So I'm going to put you back down in the basement, and thanks again. I'll talk to you soon, all right?
All right. Thanks, buddy. Have a great day.
Yep. Take care, man.
All righty. Bye.
Bye. Okay, so it's just us now. And I did want to mention that the podcast is coming out this Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so be sure to catch that. And I'm trying to remember what else. I think there might be a product spotlight or an N-Scale Friday tomorrow, but I just don't remember. I'd have to check my calendar, and I don't have it in front of me. So I'll see you on the podcast this weekend. And if you have any questions or comments or whatever, put them in the comments below if you happen to be watching this on a replay. And we encourage all the comments we can get. So that'll do it for this time. Thank you all for watching. I want to thank our live chat moderators. And again, a big special thanks to my buddy John for taking the time to hang out with us here. And hopefully it got you thinking about your motivation and what you can do to be more motivated. That's it. I'm signing off from the Intergalactic Headquarters. I'll catch you next time.